Hello, this is Solving Systems of Equations by Substitution, Example 2. I'll be substituting to solve these two equations. Very often this is called two equations and two unknowns because there are two equations and there are two unknowns, the two variables x and y. Substitution is a very common technique in algebra. In this simple example, x equals 2, so x is the same thing as 2. Y equals 4, so y is the same thing as 4. And that allows me to substitute. Instead of x, I can substitute a 2. Instead of a y, I can substitute a 4. So this becomes 2 plus 4 equals 6. I'll be doing that in these equations. Now, I don't have something in these two equations. I don't have x equals or y equals. So I have to fix that. I have to make one of these equations into that, into x equals or y equals. And the first equation has x with no coefficient, no number multiplying the x. So my plan is to plus 2y here. See, if I do a plus 2y, this minus 2y goes away, and I'm just left with x equals. So I'm going to start doing that here. I'm going to add a 2y to this side, and that leaves me with x equals. Now, if I do it to one side, I have to do it to the other side. So these two terms, the negative 6 and the positive 2y, they don't really combine, so I have to just write them as they are. A positive 2y minus 6. And this is going to be my substitution. I'm going to substitute this into the second equation, and the second equation, I'm just rewriting it exactly as it is. And this substitution is going to go in for x. If x equals 2y minus 6, I can substitute equals for equals, and I'm going to put that in here. That way this equation will no longer have two variables. It'll just have one variable, the y, and I'll be able to solve that. So these are my original two equations. I rewrote the first equation. And this is now the system of equations that I will solve. I took the second equation and I got it ready for substitution. Instead of the x, I have a big set of empty parentheses, and everything else is the same. So I will put in my 2y minus 6 instead of the x. Now, just solving this carefully using all of the algebra that you know. Distributing this 4, we get 8y minus 24 plus 6y equals 4. And 8y and 6y, that adds up to 14y. Now adding 24 to both sides, I end up with 14y equals 28. And finally, y equals 2. I can substitute this y equals 2 into either one of my original equations. So I'll pick the first one and getting it ready for substitution. Now putting my 2 for the y and working on this a little bit. Now when I add 4 to both sides, I get x equals negative 2. So the solution is negative 2, 2.